before our wedding, my husband brought back that white moonlight, the widow of a fallen rebel. That woman seized my dowry and then haughtily humiliated me. So what if you're the legitimate wife? Though I'm a remarried woman, when the Marquis grieved for me, you were still an innocent maiden sheltered from the world. I held my tongue, inwardly laughing at her foolishness. She believed victory was hers, unaware that my husband's harem held more women than blooming flowers. My marriage into the Marquis household sought nothing but wealth and glory. As the daughter of the Duke of Duan, with the Empress Dowager as my own aunt, no maiden in the capital held higher status than I. Upon reaching marriageable age, the Empress Dowager intended to bring me into the palace as a consort. Luo Wei possesses both talent and beauty, though not my own flesh and blood. Her family has served 3 reigns as loyal ministers. With my protection, His Majesty will surely honor and respect her. What bright future could she not achieve? My father was filled with dread and dared not readily agree. Everyone knew the Empress hailed from the Changning Marquis household, though the Marquis estate no longer enjoyed its former glory. If I were to marry into the imperial family, even without a royal son by my side, I would inevitably threaten the Empress' position. She would never tolerate me causing her trouble within the harem. The Emperor and Empress shared a deep bond. To protect her, he defied the Empress Dowager, issuing an imperial decree to bestow me upon the Empress' own brother Chu Qingmu, now the head of the Changning Marquis household. Beyond marrying into the imperial family, only a union with a marquis devoid of real power could prevent the Shang family from expanding its influence through marriage alliances. Yet Chu Qingmu was hardly a suitable match. The day he came to the Shang household to propose, my elder brother was so enraged he smashed a cup. The Empress truly plays her cards well. She secured favor with His Majesty while simultaneously securing an excellent match for her own brother, ensuring the Marquisite's prosperity for generations. Who doesn't know Chu Qingmu already has a beloved? Years ago, he delayed his marriage time and again for that Su family maiden. Now, unmarried, he already has a concubine in his inner quarters, even a child. My sister isn't unmarriageable, we must she wade into this murky water. I stopped my brother, who was ready to fight for me, and smiled reassuringly at my parents. Father and mother know my temperament. Rather than live in constant fear within the imperial harem, this Marquis residence is actually a decent place to be. Besides, dealing with a mistress in the inner quarters is far easier than contending with the women of the imperial harem. Not only that, but the Changning Marquis residence wasn't nearly as dilapidated as the rumors suggested. The dowry alone was a rare display of opulence seldom seen in the capital. Among the gifts, a foxtail cloak stood out as particularly extraordinary, crafted from a white fox personally hunted by Chu Qingmu on the northern frontier. Seeing me playing with the fox pelt in the inner courtyard, my maid Suiyun thought I was troubled. Why fret, miss? Though the Marquis estate may not shine as brightly as before, it still has the Empress Dowager's backing, with the Marquis' military merits to boot. Should the Crown Prince ascend the throne, this household will be unmatched in wealth and prestige. I sighed softly. Silly girl. Do you truly believe this Marquis of Changning is merely a hollow figure protected by the Empress? Look at this fox fur, gilded patterns embroidered on both sides. One glance shows the care put into it. Besides, the northern frontier battlefield is perilous beyond measure. Such military achievements aren't something ordinary men can attain. Queen's brows furrowed slightly. Then are you worried about the Marquis' inner quarters? Young miss, I've heard he's never taken a wife because he already has someone special in his heart. Hearing this, I couldn't help but laugh. I've heard that Chu Qingmu has more women in his inner quarters than flowers in a garden. With such a wandering heart, he truly is overwhelmed by deep affection. Shuang Tao and I laughed together, teasing each other playfully. Suddenly, footsteps approached from behind. I fell silent at once. The figure in black robes, standing tall and straight as a pine, was none other than the Marquis of Changning, Chu Qingmu. His gaze was piercing, yet his tone remained gentle. Not finding you in the main hall, I took the liberty of coming here. I have words I wish to share with you. Seeing my calm composure, He cut straight to the point. Given your noble birth, marrying a fallen marquis like me is truly a hardship. Yet since His Majesty has decreed this union, I shall honor only you as my lady of the house. No one shall ever take precedence over you. He unfastened the jade pendant from his waist, gently slid it toward me with his fingertips, and placed it in my hand. This jade pendant is an heirloom from the previous dynasty. I privately wished to present it to you, though dragon bone jade is not rare. The string of pearls beneath this pendant was obtained from the South Sea during my youth. I wore it daily. Consider this a token of my sincerity toward you. The implication was clear. He expected me to turn a blind eye, much like this jade pendant and string of pearls, and coexist peacefully with his beloved. I knew when to stop. Smiling, I agreed. I heard the Marquis brought back a woman from the northern frontier recently. I understand you have another in your heart. I am not a narrow-minded person. Please rest assured. After all, I would spend the rest of my life in the Marquis household. While I did not seek romantic harmony with him, allowing a mistress to disrupt marital harmony would be detrimental to my stewardship of the estate. After a moment's pause, a barely perceptible smile touched Chu Changma's lips. You are indeed a wise lady. With you managing the Marquis household, I shall have no worries. Watching his receding figure, I silently pondered within. If this marquisate is a nest of wealth and privilege, then what if it is also a den of wolves? A month before the wedding, my mother and I went to Shuyu Pavilion to retrieve the hairpins and jewelry from my dowry. There, we happened upon Chu Changma's so-called white moonlight. Upon entering Shuyu Pavilion, I saw a woman of delicate beauty, her hair styled in a married woman's bun, arguing with the shopkeeper. How dare you refuse to sell goods in your own shop? I've finally found a piece of jewelry I like. Yet you make excuses. Do you look down on me? Thinking I can't afford it. The shopkeeper, spotting me, clung to me like a lifeline, rushing forward with an apologetic smile. Please forgive us, miss. This lady insists she has taken a fancy to your dowry pieces and claims to be connected to the Marquis of Chongning. The woman appraised me from head to toe, then glided over to my side. After a graceful curtsy, she spoke. This young lady possesses extraordinary grace. Surely she comes from a noble family. I am deeply fond of this white jade dragon phoenix hairpin. If you would part with it, I'd gladly pay a high price. Seeing my hesitation, she lifted her chin and revealed her identity. I am from the Chongning Marquis household, having just arrived in the capital. If you would grant me this favor, it would also be a kindness to the Marquis himself. My gaze lingered on her waist, where the jade pendant symbolizing Chu Changma's status hung prominently. She must be Su Miaoi, the childhood sweetheart Chu Chengmu brought back. No wonder he couldn't stop thinking about her. She truly possessed a captivating beauty, though her nature was rather foolish to announce her affiliation so brazenly. Does she not fear eavesdroppers reporting this to the Marquis mansion? Su Weiyin stepped before me, her voice brimming with indignation. How dare you slander the Marquis of Changning's household? Young lady, the lady before you is the future mistress of this mansion. The hairpin in your hand is part of our young mistress' wedding trousseau. Upon hearing my identity, the smile on her face dissolved into wary caution. So it's you. What a small world indeed. But Chengmu told me explicitly not to cause you trouble, since we'll be sisters under the same roof in the future. I wouldn't want to embarrass you. She casually tossed a bag of silver coins before me, her tone laced with flippancy. The Marquis dotes on me. When he brought me back, he promised that if I fancied anything in the capital, he'd spare no expense to get it for me. If you know your place today, I won't make things difficult for you when we meet again. The onlookers watched this spectacle with keen interest. I merely smiled, bent down, picked up the money bag from the ground, and handed it to Su Weiyun. This sum could easily buy a hairpin. Since Miss Su wishes to do the Marquis of Chongning a favor, why not lend him a hand? Take this silver and give it all to the soup kitchen north of the city. There are plenty of displaced people there who need it. Using someone else's generosity to do good deeds, why not? Su Miaoyi, enraged, laughed bitterly. Since you refuse to speak plainly with me, let me tell you this. Qingmu and I shared decades of affection. When he grieved and lost heart for me, you were merely an ignorant maiden confined to her boudoir. This wasn't just an insult. She tried to use that ethereal, elusive love to persuade me to back down. I curved my lips in amused interest. I've heard that in the early years, Prince Ning wielded immense power. The Su family, rulers of the imperial secretariat, sought to curry favor by marrying their daughter to one of his trusted generals. Later, when Prince Ning's rebellion was uncovered, he fled with his loyalists. That Su family maiden vanished without a trace. Meeting you today, I realize she's been transformed and pampered by your lordship. Her expression darkened instantly. She snorted coldly. So what? Qingmu and I grew up together, even as a second wife. He never cared. Otherwise, he wouldn't have remained unmarried for years for my sake. Do you think you can use that as leverage against me? As for you, if not for the emperor's arranged marriage, do you really think you'd have a chance to be his wife? I couldn't be bothered to respond. Such base provocation hardly befitted a lady of noble birth. Seeing my silence, she lunged forward to grab my skirt. I seized her wrist and flung her backward, sending her crashing to the ground. Furious and humiliated, she screamed, "Well, you dare strike me? What daughter of a duke? You're nothing but a shrew." I halted in my tracks and turned to rebuke her. "I've spoken to you politely. If you choose not to listen, so be it. But I must remind you, if you remain obedient, even if the Marquis favors only you, I shall never interfere. As the wife of a convicted minister, your safe return to the capital is already a boundless imperial grace. If you choose to be unruly, even if it's not me today, someone will certainly deal with you." She gritted her teeth in fury. Still ranting as I walked out of Shuyu Pavilion. "You think having someone backing you makes you so smug? This Marquis residence is still ruled by Qingmu. As long as he has me in his heart, don't even dream he'll love you." This incident spread like wildfire, reaching the Empress' ears that very night. The next day, Su Miaoyi, as usual, attempted to leave the mansion with her retinue of servants for leisure, only to be stopped by the guards. The lead guard scolded her back. "Her Majesty the Empress has ordered that before the Marquis' wedding, no lowly person shall be allowed to disrupt the alliance between our two families." The Empress even dispatched her personal matron to slap her. Su Miaoyi, her face swollen, still wouldn't relent. She cursed me in the courtyard, and when the matron heard her, she withheld food for 3 days before she finally calmed down. When the matron came to see me, she brought the 9 phoenix hairpin bestowed by the Empress. "The Marquis knows this matter has offended you, young lady. He has already reprimanded that concubine." This phoenix hairpin was obtained by the Marquis from Her Majesty the Empress, solely to ease your grievances. I smiled and accepted it, already understanding Su Miaoyi's standing in Chu Changma's heart. Such indirect flattery was clearly meant to prevent me from causing trouble for Su Miaoyi after our marriage. Truly, he was being very thoughtful. Every step I take henceforth must be carefully planned. On the night of the wedding, the festive banquet outside the courtyard echoed with merriment until well past midnight. I did not send anyone to summon Chu Qingmu. Instead, I sat quietly in my chamber. Su Weiyun, shifting from initial anxiety to anger, pouted indignantly on my behalf. The Marquis leaves his bride waiting on her wedding night while rushing to bring his mistress into the mansion. What will people say? I waved her off. I anticipated this before marrying him. If I wallow in self-pity now, they'll only invite endless misery later. We were never meant to be an ordinary couple. Why should I demand his undivided devotion? Besides, if he didn't show up on our wedding day, it would bring shame upon the Marquis household. The Empress would surely reprimand us. Just wait a little longer. No sooner had I finished speaking than Chu Qingmu stumbled in, reeking of alcohol. A weariness he could no longer hide was etched on his face. Su Miaoyi must have caused quite a scene. He sidestepped Sueyun and stopped behind me, his tone tinged with resignation. My lady, please forgive me. Just now, Miaoyi, during our wedding rites. Su Miaoyi had caused a scene at the estate, even cutting herself with scissors. Midway through the banquet, Chu Qingmu had rushed to her side, seeing her injured. Chu Qingmu was genuinely distressed. He immediately defied the Empress Dowager and brought her into the Marquis residence. The moment she entered the Marquis residence, she seized the green water pavilion, the residence previously occupied by concubine Song. She declared outright that the green water pavilion was closest to Chu Chengma's quarters and therefore rightfully hers. Chu Qingmu disregarded Song's dignity and ordered her and her son to vacate immediately. I feigned ignorance, taking Chu Chengma's hand, and said with feigned concern, Miss Su endured countless hardships in the past, suffering untold trials under Prince Ning. Having finally returned to the capital, her heart is naturally unsettled. Your lordship ought to spend more time with her. It must be exhausting for you to run about so. My tactic of retreating to advance was designed to stir guilt within Chu Qingmu. The more understanding I appeared, the more unreasonable Su Miaoyi seemed. As I spoke, my eyes welled up, my voice tinged with hurt. Surely your lordship knew before I entered this household that I suffered an injury in my youth, rendering me unable to bear children. If a trusted woman could give your lordship an heir, I would wholeheartedly welcome it. At these words, a flicker of regret indeed crossed Chu Chengma's eyes. He held my hand and fell silent. Late into the night, no matter how much Su Miaoyi raged, Chu Qingmu never left my courtyard. As a woman, my inability to bear children was my fatal flaw. Yet now, I deliberately brought up this matter. 6 years ago, during the Lantern Festival, my parents and I were strolling through the flower market when we encountered the fleeing rebels of Prince Ning. I was separated from my parents. I was still young then and was taken hostage by the rebels. The old marquis led the young Chu Qingmu in an attack, but this only enraged the rebels. They kicked me violently into the river. The doctor said the cold had entered my body, damaging my vital energy. Surviving was a miracle, and bearing children was nothing but a distant hope. Su Miaoyi's former husband served under Prince Ning. Should she later use my infertility as leverage, it would surely provoke Chu Chengma's displeasure. By bringing this matter up myself, I planted a seed of concern in Chu Chengma's heart. That sliver of pity within him became my most potent shield against Su Miaoyi. The next day, Su Miaoyi and the household Song concubine paid their customary respects to me with the tea ceremony for secondary wives. Chu Qingmu must have privately reprimanded Su Miaoyi, for today she truly restrained her temper when seeing me, though her gaze still held a hint of defiance. Standing beside Su Miaoyi, the timid and coquettish Song concubine was an orphaned girl Chu Qingmu had brought back from the battlefield 3 years prior. Within a year of entering the household, Song concubine bore Chu Qingmu his eldest son. Even if not designated as heir, he remained Chu Chengma's only child. Had she contentedly raised the boy within her own quarters, I would never have troubled her. Chu Qingmu was clear about his relationships with his wives and concubines. Though he didn't often stay overnight in my courtyard, he came daily to dine with me, unable to find fault with me. Su Miaoyi turned her daily troubles towards Song concubine. After the Mid-Autumn Festival, my elder brother sent me the finest blood swallow's nest to nourish my body. Sueyun whispered in my ear, Master is truly thoughtful. With such nourishment, perhaps one day you'll bear a little heir. I understood perfectly well what father and mother intended. Though I now held a respectable position, without an heir, the concubine-born children in this Marquis household would inevitably harbor restless ambitions. Queen's joy over the tonics sent by father and brother was short-lived. Soon, a servant rushed in to report that Su Miaoyi had set her sights on my bloodbird's nest, demanding it for her own nourishment. Outside the kitchen, she declared loudly, She's nothing but a hen that can't lay eggs. What use is such a precious thing to her? It's better given to me. When my servants refused, her arrogance only grew. You lowly servants dare stand in my way. If the mistress is displeased, Let her take it up with the Marquis. They'll see whose side he takes. I took a sip of hot tea without looking up. If she wants it, give it to her. Sue Yun looked puzzled. So I explained with a smile. She's been courting trouble since entering the estate, relying on the Marquis' favor to offend everyone. She's already a target. If I let her run wild like this, she'll inevitably overstep and cross the Marquis. My plan was to make Su Miaoi dig her own grave. A month later, Mother suddenly fell ill with a cold. She sent word for me to return home to tend to her. Chu Chenmu specially requested leave from the army to personally escort me back. In the carriage, he took my hand and reassured me. Please be at ease. Madam, your mother has always been robust. She will surely be fine. I nodded slightly. He didn't know that returning home to visit her was merely a pretext. My parents had sought out the finest gynecologist in northern Jing to privately restore my health. My mother spoke earnestly. Though your constitution is frail, years of treatment have not left you without hope. Spousal affection is secondary. Offspring are now paramount. Only a child born of you can be the future heir to this marquisate. Chu Chenmu waited for me in the main hall, sipping tea with his elder brother. When my father mentioned me, his eyes finally reddened, and he spoke with great weight. Luo Wei is my only daughter. Had we not failed to protect her, she wouldn't carry this regret to this day. We all know the Marquis doesn't care for her, but he should never have allowed a concubine to humiliate my daughter. Had the servants not told me, my foolish daughter would have kept covering for that concubine, out of heartbreak for her. We sent nourishing tonics to the Marquis' residence like flowing water. If the Marquis allowed that concubine to snatch them away, that's one thing, but to let her humiliate my daughter without intervention. Is this how the Marquis behaves as a husband? Chu Chenmu stammered, utterly unaware of the matter, unable to utter a word for a long while. My father choked back tears. My elder brother continued his father's words. My lord, did you truly believe my sister married you out of desperation? When His Majesty bestowed this marriage, there was room for negotiation. It was my sister who insisted on marrying you. Did you think she was unmarriageable? She swallowed every grievance because of the life-saving grace you showed her when she was held hostage by Prince Ning. In her heart, you were the man of her dreams. These words were carefully planned with my father and brothers. Chu Chenmu was stunned. So it was my fault all along. On the way back, Chu Chenmu remained silent. Only when the carriage stopped did he ask me, his eyes red. Why didn't you tell me? If only ID arrived sooner. If only I hadn't been so hot-headed. I wouldn't have provoked that bandit and caused you harm. Your injuries are all my fault. I pressed my fingers to his lips and smiled gently. Let bygones be bygones. As long as I can marry the Marquis, I desire nothing more. He nodded, drawing me into his embrace. My foolish husband, if ID told you from the start, how could I have made you feel more guilty toward me? And how could I have dealt with that Su Miaoi? Upon returning to the Marquis' residence, I placed all the treasures ID brought from home into the storeroom. True to form, Su Miaoi couldn't contain herself. While I was recuperating in the courtyard, she set her sights on those exquisite objects. Ignoring the servants' pleas, she had them moved to her own quarters. After returning from the merchant's residence, Chu Chenmu stayed in my courtyard for half a month straight. Bowl after bowl of fertility potions was delivered daily to my quarters. Su Miaoi raged outside my courtyard. Who would have thought a legitimate wife would resort to such seductive tricks? If you can't bear children, just stay quietly in your own courtyard. Why must you entangle the Marquis? These words reached the ears of Chu Chenmu as he rose at dawn, causing his brows to furrow. Has she always humiliated you thus? Had I not heard it myself today? How long did you intend to conceal this from me? I lowered my head, feigning helplessness. Madame Su speaks the truth. This humble wife has no defense. This demeanor only deepened the pity in Chu Chengma's eyes. Why must you torment yourself like this? She is merely a concubine. How dare she show disrespect to the main wife? Chu Chenmu flew into a rage and personally ordered Su Miaoyi confined to her quarters. Even as she was locked away, she stubbornly insisted she had done nothing wrong. How could you, your lordship, be blinded by that vile woman? Only I truly love you. These words only rang more jarringly in Chu Chengma's ears. At first, Su Miaoyi remained unconvinced of any wrongdoing, bolstered by Chu Chengma's affection. She continued to speak recklessly throughout the courtyard. It wasn't until Chu Chenmu coldly ignored her for a month that she truly panicked. Less than a month later, Su Miaoyi was diagnosed with pregnancy. When Chu Chenmu returned from military service, he hurried straight to her courtyard. The moment she saw him, Su Miaoyi threw her arms around him, weeping bitterly about her grievances these past days, genuinely softening her demeanor. It was all my fault before, but I was so terrified of losing you, your lordship, that in my moment of confusion, I showed disrespect to the lady. Su Miaoyi merely played the innocent, and it was enough to turn Chu Chengma's heart back to her. That night, I personally pleaded with Chu Chenmu to lift Su Miaoyi's confinement. Madame Su is with child and in a delicate state. Continued confinement risks causing her grief and depression. I cannot bear to see your lordship exhausting himself over her. Deeply moved, Chu Chengma's respect for me grew even stronger. This was not out of fear of Su Miaoyi. I raised this matter for two reasons. First, to curry favor with Chu Chengmu. Second, if I hadn't, I would have borne the blame should anything happen to her during confinement. Since her pregnancy, Shed used morning sickness as an excuse to withdraw substantial sums from the household treasury for personal spending. Beyond tonics, an endless stream of gold and silver jewelry flowed into her quarters. Su Weiyun voiced her discontent to me. It's just a pregnancy, does she really need all that money? Her complexion looks so healthy, hardly like someone suffering from morning sickness. I idly fiddled with the jewelry Chu Chenmu had sent, replying nonchalantly, in this Marquis household, the Marquis holds the authority. If he deems it worthwhile, then she is. With this in mind, I cautiously instructed Su Weiyun, tell the servants in Su Miaoyi's quarters to keep a close watch on her. If she makes any suspicious moves, report it to me immediately. My current priorities were twofold: avoid suspicion and prevent her from smearing my name, while also maintaining appearances so Chu Chenmu couldn't find fault. Yet a lingering doubt remained in my heart. When the physician reported back, he informed me that Su Miaoyi was not newly pregnant. Her pregnancy was already stable, and her belly appeared to be at least 5 months along the stage when the bump begins to show. She had been back in the capital for barely 2 months yet was 5 months pregnant. This child must have been conceived in the northern frontier. If this child was not from Su Miaoyi's former husband, then it must have been conceived when Chu Chenmu brought her back. My elder brother told me the northern frontier battlefield was perilous, and Chu Chenmu had faced death countless times. He had risked his life to eliminate the remnants of Prince Ning's faction, earning his military honors through such dangers. It was only after rescuing Su Miaoyi from Prince Ning's followers that she became pregnant. Was it truly love so deep he couldn't control himself? Or was the child not his at all? Yet he acknowledged it out of love, committing an unthinkable act. I couldn't make sense of it and grew tired of pondering. I tossed the pile of hairpins and ornaments aside. Either way, it's all Chu Chengma's own mess. Just wait and see, there'll be more trouble to come. After Su Miaoyi became pregnant, her status rose accordingly, and she grew increasingly unrestrained. Seeing Consort Song, who was carrying a child, infuriated her beyond measure. One afternoon, enraged that Song's courtyard had requested an extra bowl of silver ear fungus, she stormed in and smashed it to pieces. When I reached Song's small courtyard, porcelain shards littered the ground. Song, cradling her swaddled infant, trembled violently, not daring to breathe. Even upon seeing me, Su Miaoyi persisted in her rage, pointing at Song's concubine and shouting, "How dare you be so presumptuous? Everyone in the Marquis household knows I'm carrying a child now. The silver ear fungus is reserved strictly for my quarters. What right do you have, with your child, to secretly take extra portions. Song's concubine shot me a pleading glance, her voice still trembling with uncertainty. I am being wronged. My quarters haven't received silver ear fungus for days. Today, for the sake of the child, I had no choice but to inquire at the kitchen. I truly did not take extra. Su Miaoi, feeling defied, couldn't restrain herself and slapped her. You dare talk back. I motioned to the servants nearby to pull her away, stepping in to mediate. Madame Song, after all, bore a child for the Marquis. She is your fellow concubine. How can you treat her so harshly? Su Miaoi shot her a vicious glare before storming off, leaving Madame Song behind. Wailing heartrendingly, I helped her up and ordered servants to deliver silver ear fungus to her quarters. Everyone has their pride, but if you lack the means to change things, swallow your anger. I firmly believe that those who do wrong will meet their own downfall. After that day, Concubine Song never left her quarters again, and I never saw her face. Su Miaoi enjoyed peace for less than 3 days before seizing upon Concubine Song's alleged wrongdoing. While reviewing accounts in my courtyard, Su Weiyan rushed in with news. Madam, it's terrible. Su Miaoi claims Song's people laced her blood-red bird's nest with safflower. She's about to have Song killed. Qian's brief account revealed the full twist. A maid from Song's quarters had secretly added a pinch of safflower to Su Miaoi's medicinal broth, without discerning right from wrong. Su Miaoi insisted Madame Song harbored resentment toward her and sought to harm the child in her womb. I sensed something amiss. That maid looked unfamiliar. Clearly one Su Miaoi had sent to Madame Song's quarters just days ago. This was a blatant frame-up. Su Miaoi immediately acted, forcing Madame Song to drink a bowl of safflower decoction, intending to render her barren for life. Madame Song clutched her stomach, writhing on the floor. Blood soaked through her clothes as she glared at Su Miaoi. We are both concubines. The Marquis will not forgive you for harming me like this. Su Miaoi couldn't help but laugh. How ridiculous. While I was pregnant and unable to attend to the Marquis, you spent your days fawning over him. I could have turned a blind eye, but you dared harm my child. Today, not only will I ensure you can never bear children again, but I will have the Marquis sell you off. I dispatched a writer to inform Chu Qingmu at once. When he returned from the military camp, his face was dark with fury. Mistress Song, clutching at the hem of Chu Changma's robe, wept with heart-wrenching anguish as she endured excruciating pain. My lord, save me. You know me well. I've always been dutiful. How could I possibly orchestrate harm against Mistress Su, and so brazenly? If this were exposed, how could I possibly defend myself? Chu Qingmu sensed something amiss and glanced at Su Miaoi beside him. Seeing Song Concubine's words seemed plausible, Su Miaoi gritted her teeth, clutched her abdomen, and cried out in pain. Playing the victim, Su Miaoi's maid promptly interjected. Su Concubine has always had an unstable pregnancy. Could the commotion have startled her and caused complications? Sure enough, Chu Qingmu was overcome with concern. He jogged all the way back to the courtyard, carrying Su Miaoi in his arms, paying no heed whatsoever to Song Concubine's fate. The commotion in the mansion lasted until midnight. The physician declared that Su Miaoi had suffered severe fright, causing significant fetal distress. Any further shock could endanger the child. That very night, Chu Qingmu flew into a rage, punishing the servants who had failed to protect their mistress. As for Song, the concubine who had humiliated his beloved, Chu Qingmu confined her to her courtyard, forbidding any medical attention. I secretly sent someone to treat her. Chu Qingmu was blinded by his feelings, utterly unaware of the danger lurking beneath the surface. But if Su Miaoi were allowed to continue her schemes, there would be no chance for redemption in the future. After this incident, Chu Qingmu cherished Su Miaoi even more. The guards in her courtyard alone were doubled, and physicians were brought into the mansion to attend to her pregnancy at all times. The matron reported to me that Chu Qingmu, to appease her, privately gifted her numerous shops and fields as consolation. Su Miaoi attended social engagements day after day. Feasts and banquets never ceased. and even her complexion improved considerably. Chu Qingmu made no effort to restrain her, allowing her to cultivate connections freely. Such blatant exposure risks attracting the attention of those with ulterior motives. Accusations of harboring a traitor's widow would be one thing, but if it were linked to the Prince Ning case, the consequences would be catastrophic. After pondering briefly, I instructed Sueyun, "Go tell the Marquis that I am unwell and must return to my maternal home for a while." Chu Qingmu showed no suspicion, assuming I was simply exhausted from managing the household. Before returning to the mansion, I relinquished my stewardship duties. My incompetence in managing the household has caused these troubles. Though Consort Su is with child, she appears capable, my lord. Perhaps she could temporarily take over stewardship duties. Chu Qingmu nodded slightly. Taking my hand, rest and recuperate these days. Leave the affairs of the mansion to Miaoi. By relinquishing my stewardship, I intended to lure Su Miaoi into overconfidence and error. The accounts of such a grand household are no simple matter to manage. Should she commit a grave mistake, I would later find a pretext to sever her authority within the manor entirely. Having gained stewardship, Su Miaoi grew even more unrestrained, flaunting herself extravagantly throughout the capital, and her outings were protected by secret guards arranged by Chu Qingmu, sparking widespread gossip. I learned from my elder brother that most of the connections Su Miaoi cultivated were officials' wives who had previously had private dealings with Prince Ning. Their motives were likely ill-intentioned. Moreover, she deliberately kept Chu Qingmu in the dark, leaving him completely unaware. My departure now is to sever all ties with this affair. Should His Majesty seek accountability in the future, I shall have grounds for exoneration. Moreover, any place outside this marquisate offers far greater freedom than these confines. When Su Miaoi was 7 months pregnant, Chu Qingmu was summoned by His Majesty and confined within the palace for 3 full days. Censors in the court submitted a formal complaint against the Chongning Marquis residence, stating plainly that the Marquis concubine had once been the wife of one of Prince Ning's subordinates. Recently, she had been frequently associating with officials' wives and concubines. They suspected she was acting on the Marquis' instructions, secretly maintaining ties with Prince Ning. For a time, everyone in the Chongning Marquis residence lived in fear. After I returned to the marquisate from the merchant's residence, Su Miaoi was restless and agitated, while Auntie Song, carrying the child, was utterly distraught. Su Miaoi's constant clamor gave me a headache, and I couldn't help but snap at them. "What are you all crying about? After so long in the marquisate, can't you keep your composure?" When Chu Qingmu returned from the palace, he had visibly lost weight. Though I remained seated in the main hall, Su Miaoi, disregarding her pregnancy, rushed forward to embrace Chu Qingmu, weeping as she confessed her guilt. "Your lordship, forgive me. I truly did not mean to harm you. I had no idea those people were colluding with Prince Ning. They made outrageous claims, and my negligence led me to. If my lord does not believe me, I will take my child and die." With that, Su Miaoi lunged toward the wall beside her, only to be caught by Chu Qingmu. His eyes were dark and bruised, yet he patiently soothed her. "Enough. I do not blame you. It was Prince Ning's faction that acted treacherously." His gaze met mine, and he gave a slight nod, signaling me to be at ease. Witnessing the scene, I felt a pang of bitterness in my heart. Chu Chengma's current misfortune was entirely due to Su Miaoi, yet he remained so calm and composed, not reprimanding her in the slightest. After settling Su Miaoi, Chu Qingmu came to my courtyard. "These past days have caused you much worry and fear, madam." I feigned composure. "I am unafraid. With your extraordinary talents, even if you face charges now, Her Majesty the Empress will protect you. If you atone through service, why should you fear not being reappointed to a position of great importance?" His eyes lowered, the corners turning faintly red. Chu Qingmu wasted no words, stating his purpose directly. "His Majesty commands me to redeem my guilt by leading an expedition to purge the remnants of Prince Ning entrenched in the northern frontier." thereby proving my innocence. This mission is fraught with peril. I wish to offer you a way out. Madame Song comes from humble origins and has no kin left in this world. Should I meet with misfortune? Her child is your child. I know your health is fragile. Rather than marrying into another noble house only to be neglected, you should adopt the child as your own. I will name him my heir. Then, you shall be the head of this marquisate. I squeezed out a few tears and threw myself into his arms. Having married the Marquis, we are one in body and spirit. No matter what, I will wait for you here in this marquisate. I clasped his hand, my voice trembling. The Chongning Marquis in my heart is young and valiant, full of spirit and vigor. He has won countless battles. I believe you will return safely and secure a future for me. I must be of one mind with Chu Qingmu. This affair involved far-reaching consequences. If I left so easily, His Majesty would not spare me. This time, he did not argue. Instead, he handed me a divorce decree, offering me another choice. If you dislike this Marquis residence, you may leave of your own accord. With your family background, you will surely find another worthy husband. These past days have been my fault. I have wronged you. Before dawn broke, Chu Qingmu departed the marquisate. Watching his retreating figure, a surge of emotion welled within me. On the day Chu Qingmu marched to war, palace guards surrounded the marquisate. Officially, they claimed to protect the family of the Marquis of Chongning, but in truth, they held his inner family hostage to ensure he remained obediently stationed in the northern frontier. The night before, Su Miaoyi clung to Chu Qingmu, clamoring to accompany him to the front lines. Exhausted by her persistence, he frowned and soothed her. You are with child. How could you endure the hardships of travel with me? Moreover, how could I bring a woman into the chaos of battle? Wait for me here in the manor. As he departed, he entrusted Su Miaoyi to me. After I depart, Miaoyi may become restless. I implore you, madam, to watch over her closely. Su Miaoyi remained settled for less than half a month when news reached the frontier. Chu Qingmu had been ambushed by remnants of Prince Ning's faction. His whereabouts were unknown, and his fate remained uncertain. Court skepticism mounted, with some even alleging Chu Qingmu had colluded with Prince Ning, faking his death to defect, secretly rallying troops to join the prince. They produced evidence of his recent dealings with Ning's faction. A palace messenger arrived, reporting the empress had fainted from grief multiple times. That very night, Su Miaoyi bribed the gate guards in an attempt to flee the Marquis residence. Fortunately, my men discovered her in time and intercepted her. Sensing something amiss, I immediately ordered her bound. She struggled fiercely, yet maintained a forced composure. I refused to believe the Marquis is dead. I sought to escape and search for him. On what grounds do you bind me? I snorted coldly. Nonsense. If you were journeying far to find the Marquis, why would you carry no gold or valuables? Likely someone outside is waiting to aid your escape. Could it be that seeing the Marquis fallen and hearing of Prince Ning's resurgence, you seek to return to your husband's men and follow Prince Ning for survival? She fell silent, only glaring at me with reddened eyes. Ever since she aligned with Prince Ning's faction, I sensed something amiss. Now I was certain her heart likely still lay with them. She must be pinning her hopes on Prince Ning's comeback, secretly sabotaging the Marquis household. I dispatched word to the palace. The next day, I entered the imperial court with the Marquis household. Su Miaoyi continued her commotion. How dare you treat me this way? I am the Marquis' most cherished person. If he learns you humiliated me like this while he was away, he will never forgive you. I'm not going anywhere. I'll wait for him right here in the Marquis residence. I couldn't restrain myself and slapped her across the face. If you truly care for Chu Qingmu, behave yourself. Should I discover any further insubordination, no matter how much he favors you, I will not keep you. Her incessant chatter persisted until I administered several bowls of soporific herbal decoction. Finally silencing her, the Empress ordered Su Miaoyi confined under guard before receiving me in the inner chambers. You handled this matter well, with His Majesty suspicious of his brother's defection. Bringing your family into the palace has eased his mind. That night, I tossed and turned, unable to sleep, when I heard Consort Song weeping uncontrollably in the side hall, cradling her child, holding her young son. She looked utterly broken. I snapped at her. The Marquis isn't dead yet. Why are you crying? If something truly happened to him, your child would be the future heir of the Changning Marquisate. Why act so foolishly and upset Her Majesty the Empress? Her sobs only grew louder as she revealed the truth. How could I not be afraid? The Marquis took us into his household out of pity. My husband died shielding him from a sword on the battlefield, leaving us mother and child utterly helpless. Outside, people speak of the Marquis mansion in glorious terms, and he treats my child as his own. But deep down, I know it well. Without the Marquis, where would we go? My heart jolted, and suddenly everything clicked into place. I helped her up and spoke with solemn earnestness. So what? Countless eyes in the court are watching the Marquis' residence now. You must bury this incident deep within you, since the Marquis treats him as his own son. It's clearly to perpetuate the Marquis' glory. Just fulfill your role as the Marquis' concubine well. If others learn the Marquis has no heir, chaos will surely erupt. 7 days later, I was asleep when the clang of weapons outside my door startled me awake. Sueyun rushed in, breathless and frantic. Madam, it's terrible. Chaos is breaking out in the palace. Remnants of Prince Ning's faction have stormed the palace. I was about to gather men to protect Su Miaoyi when a sudden chill ran down my spine. Before I could cry out, warm hands covered my mouth. Fear not, my lady. It is I. My heart trembled. Turning stiffly, I saw Chu Chenmu standing safely behind me, his eyes burning with intensity. He wore iron armor, strands of hair loose at his temples. Evidently he had raced back to the capital for days. My mind went blank, unable to control my emotions. I began pounding his chest, choking back sobs. I demanded, why did you take so long to return? Everyone in the capital says you colluded with the rebel prince. I nearly thought I'd become a widow. These past days, the Marquis mansion has been in utter chaos. And that little green plum of yours has been driving me to distraction. Chu Chenmu clasped my hands, his eyes filled with regret. It was my fault. But now there are urgent matters to attend to. I wiped away my tears, forcing myself to calm down. I know you're searching for her. I'll take you to her. When I led Chu Chenmu to the side hall where Su Miaoyi resided, she sat upright on the couch. Seeing us enter, she didn't even raise an eyebrow. She stroked her pregnant belly, shedding her usual delicate demeanor. Your lordship truly has a strong constitution to have survived and returned to the capital, but you may have arrived too late. Prince Ning's men have likely already killed His Majesty and are preparing to seize the throne. No sooner had she spoken than dozens of black-clad figures with swords surged from the shadows, surrounding Chu Chenmu and me. She curved her lips with amusement. I truly believed the Marquis was a fool, so blinded by that flicker of affection that he disregarded my status, even willing to acknowledge the child within me. Yet today I see it was a joint scheme by you two to deceive me, hoping to trap me within these palace walls. Chu Chenmu shielded me behind him, forcing back the tremor in his voice as he confronted Su Miaoyi. I've treated you well, even overlooking your secret collusion with Prince Ning's faction. When His Majesty punished me because of you, I only hoped you'd change your ways and show me some genuine affection. Is this how you repay me? When the Duke's mansion informed me of your collusion with Prince Ning, I refused to believe it. Had I not followed Prince Ning's faction into the palace today, I would never have known you've been putting on a show for me all this time. You have disappointed me beyond measure. Su Miaoyi had finally revealed her true colors. Chu Chenmu had known all along. Even when facing the Emperor's accusations, that Su Miaoyi had been secretly corresponding with Prince Ning, scheming to drag the Marquis household into the fray. His deliberate restraint had been to orchestrate this very spectacle, luring Prince Ning out into the open. The child growing within her was naturally not Chu Changmis. but Prince Ning's. After her husband died on the battlefield, Su Miaoyi used her beauty and scheming to climb her way onto Prince Ning, carving out a path for herself. When Prince Ning defected, all his heirs were executed. He also injured himself during the journey, leaving him unable to father more children. This one child was the only one he could care about. I stared at her intently. When you helped Prince Ning frame the Marquis household, plunging it into peril, did you not fear that one day, when the truth came out, the Marquis would hold you accountable? If you were willing to let go of the past, the Marquis, out of gratitude, would surely spare your life. Why persist in such stubbornness? Su Miaoyi couldn't suppress a laugh, her eyes burning with hatred as she met mine. You've sailed through life unchallenged, so your thoughts are simplistic. Without Prince Ning, I'd likely be buried in some unknown grave by now. Do you think I'd willingly pretend to dote on a man who doesn't love me? I've had my fill of jealous squabbles over men. What childhood sweethearts, what decades of affection. Had I not believed him dead, with no great generals left in the capital, why would I have gambled so recklessly? Now that the arrow has left the bow, there's no turning back. I'll take my chances. Su Miaoyi closed her eyes, forcing back the tears threatening to spill. She waved her hand, and assassins swarmed around her. Chu Qingmu shielded me with one arm while struggling to fight off the attackers. I clung tightly to his back. Since I couldn't help him now, I couldn't afford to slow him down. Having trained in martial arts since childhood, Chu Qingmu easily handled these assassins. Seeing the situation turn dire, Su Miaoyi fled the hall surrounded by attendants, seeking to join forces with Prince Ning, but her plan backfired. Prince Ning had corresponded with her, deliberately operating in the northern frontier to lure His Majesty into dispatching Chu Qingmu there. The plan was for Prince Ning to meet Chu Qingmu within the palace, assassinate His Majesty, and seize the throne. With the capital's defenses depleted, should Prince Ning succeed, she would become the future empress. This inside-outside scheme would have succeeded had His Majesty and her elder brother not detected it early and alerted Chu Qingmu. Chu Chengma's imperial guards closed in, encircling Prince Ning's dwindling forces. Facing Prince Ning, who fought like a cornered beast, Chu Chengma's tone softened. Why struggle in vain, dragging down so many loyal men who served you faithfully? The light in Su Miaoyi's eyes slowly faded. Seeing Prince Ning about to be executed, she finally broke down. You useless fool. All my efforts to work with you in secret were wasted. You're dragging me and our child to our deaths. If I'd known you were this incompetent, I'd have been better off staying as a mistress in the Marquis mansion. She clutched her face as if mad, muttering to herself, I already married the wrong man once. Why must you make me lose again? I refuse to live those dark, miserable days any longer. It's all your fault. All because you're useless. The sword in Prince Ning's hand suddenly dropped. Everyone thought the prince had finally surrendered. Instead, he suddenly spat out a threat. Today, I've failed. I've been outmaneuvered by you puny little brats. But don't think you'll live to tell the tale. Prince Ning signaled his hidden men to shoot Chu Qingmu. Before anyone could react, I spotted the hidden arrow and lunged toward Chu Qingmu. I shoved him out of harm's way, but the arrow's tip sliced a gash across my cheek. Chu Chengma's pupils dilated wildly as he scooped me into his arms. What are you doing? This can't hurt me. If anything happens to you, what would I do? You're all I have left. Chaos swirled in my ears. Prince Ning was finally executed, and his remaining followers surrendered their weapons. The arrow was poisoned. Before slipping into unconsciousness, I mustered my last strength to grip Chu Chengma's sleeve. You saved my life once. I've never liked owing favors. Today, I repay that debt. At 10 years old, the lanterns in the capital were breathtaking. Lost in play, I drifted from my parents. Rebels seized several lavishly dressed women as hostages to force the city gates open. I was one of them. Their blades hovered inches from my throat. That year, Chu Qingmu was 18. brimming with youthful vigor. The old Marquis led troops to suppress the rebellion. Chu Chenmu launched a surprise attack from behind the rebels, knocking the sword from their hands. This enraged the rebel leader, who kicked me violently into the river. To this day, a faint scar remains on my lower abdomen. Chu Chenmu said it was his fault. Had he arrived sooner, had he been more careful, I wouldn't have carried this lifelong regret. 3 months later, my injuries had mostly healed, though a faint pink scar still lingered on my face. During this time, Chu Chenmu rarely returned home. He was assisting His Majesty in purging the court of ministers colluding with Prince Ning. After Prince Ning was executed, Su Miaoyi requested a cup of poisoned wine from Chu Chenmu. She took her child and ended her life in prison. I asked Chu Chenmu, somewhat puzzled, after all those years together, if you wanted to save her, you could have terminated the pregnancy and given her a new identity to leave the capital. Why did she insist on death? Where was her former tenacity for survival? Chu Chenmu merely shook his head, seemingly unwilling to elaborate. Her plans extended beyond mere survival, they encompassed power and wealth. Now that all is lost, her nature refuses to endure a life of ruin. During my convalescence, father and mother visited me several times. Seeing my wounds, their eyes would swell red with tears. Why be so foolish? Why shield the Marquis from that arrow? What if you'd been wounded yourself? I smiled reassuringly at them. Father, mother, why worry? When I married into the Marquis household, I made it clear. I sought only his family's prestige, the Marquis's wealth, and the power it would bring in the future. Besides, how could I have risked my life? That day, I spotted the assassin hiding in the shadows long before the attack. Anticipating the palace coup, I had already donned protective armor. I was certain that arrow wouldn't harm me. It was merely a sacrifice to secure my place in the Marquis' heart. I never expected Chu Chenmu to like me, let alone love me. Life is so long. To dwell constantly on romantic love only invites more troubles. Now that Su Miaoyi is dead, Chu Chenmu can no longer harbor feelings for her. Within the mansion, there is only an infertile concubine and an adopted son. Neither poses any threat to me. My good days have only just begun. That night, Chu Chenmu returned from military duty, bringing me the peach blossom pastries I adored. He gently brushed stray strands of hair from my temple. Under the candlelight, our eyes met not in silent mutual understanding, but with currents of unspoken meaning. After a long while, he finally asked, Madam, would you bear me a child? The end.